Hello! In this GIS tutorial, I'll be showing you where to find data and how to get it into a usable format for your projects. So in recent years, there has been an explosion of high-quality data available through open data portals. So each level of government will typically have their own with a variety of unique data sets. So going from the federal, so for example this is the Government of Canada, to the provincial, to the municipal. Each one has its own specific data sets that are unique. And as well, you can also find data on the websites of specific organizations. So in this case, this is the Toronto District School Board, and this is school level data of standardized testing results. So data typically comes in two flavors. So geospatial data and flat files. So geospatial data is the easiest one to deal with. It is the one that's already formatted in a way that we can just easily import into ArcGIS. So for example, here I have former municipal boundaries for the City of Toronto. As you can see, we just click download data and we can already download them as a shapefile and even select projection. So we can download that and it just saves it as a zip file. We unzip that zip file and then we can just pull it into ArcGIS. And there we go. So it's very easy to use. A little bit more difficult are flat files, which are essentially CSVs or Excel files which are not formatted in a way that we can just easily bring into ArcGIS. So for them, they require a little bit more massaging. So here I have, for example, school information for the province of Ontario. And if I open this up, and I've worked on this a little bit already, so you can see I've cleaned it a little bit here, but we'll just go through the steps to clean this data. So the very first thing we want to do is essentially when we open up a file, be something like this, we want to look to see what data we actually want to use. In my case, I want to look at, I'm going to say, the percentage of school-age children who live in low-income households. So this data we can see here, because it is left-aligned, even though these look like numbers, they're actually text. So if we were to bring this into ArcMap, we wouldn't be able to really do anything with this. And what we can do is, you could technically format it in ArcMap, but it's much easier and faster to do it here in Excel. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to select all this top row of data, and we're going to go to the Data tab in Excel and turn on filters. And this will allow us to easily find what's making this this column into a text format. So we can click this little arrow here, turn off the select all, and we're going to scroll down to the bottom and select NA and SP. And remember, text will always be below the numeric fields. So in your case, you might not have NA and SP, but the text will always be at the bottom here. So we're going to select OK, and now we have all the records with these two values, not applicable or SP. I have to look up what that actually means. So depending on how you want to deal with this, you might want to either reformat SP to be another value, so let's say 999, or you might just want to get rid of them. In my case, I don't care about SP or NA, so I'm just going to get rid of them. I'm going to select them, and I'm simply going to hit delete to remove them. And now we can turn this back on, select OK, and you can see that although we've deleted these values, our numbers here are still set to text. So again, still not usable just yet. Now we could copy everything here and change the format to a numeric field. You can see right now it's set as text. Unfortunately, this doesn't actually do anything. So we can select number and it's still set as text. The way then to fix this issue, to go from a text field to a number field, is you select data, text columns, and just follow the default. So we want delimited, tab, it's fine, general, select finish, and now all of our numbers here are actually numbers. And we don't need to really concern ourselves about the decimal places, but if you want to get rid of them, just go here, home, and just reduce them, hitting the decrease decimal button. Now once you have that formatted in the way that you would like, we can just delete whatever data we don't need. So let's just go here. I'm going to just delete everything. There to there. Delete this. Delete that. And we have our basic data set. Now one thing that I always have to want to note is that when you make changes to your base data, you should always save as. Do not overwrite your base data. When you download something off of an open data repository, just download it into a base data folder and keep it as is, and then whenever you make changes, save it as a new document. So file, save as. And then once it's formatted, I'm just going to save it test one, save as. Once it's formatted, we can bring it into ArcMap. So again, you just go to add data, and here we have our test one, double click it, and select the appropriate worksheet, right click to open it, and now we can see our data right here. So now that's great. We have our data, but it's obviously still a flat file. It's not actually displayable on the map. What we have to do then is use the display XY coordinates tool, and for that we need these two columns, latitude and longitude, or we need to have a geospatial file already that we can tie our flat file to using something like an identifier, like a school number, for example. So because this one has XY data, we can just select display XY data. X field is going to be longitude, Y field is latitude, and then for the coordinate system, I'm going to select, and we're going to use a geographic coordinate system because we have latitude and longitude. We do not want a projected coordinate system. It's going to screw up your data. You're going to end up with a very large scale, and yeah, it's going to be a problem. So we're going to use a geographic coordinate system. Geographic coordinate system is going to depend on what part of the world your data is from. Because mine is from Ontario, I know this is the one I want to use. You can look up what projection you need for your part of the specific part of the world online. So we're going to select that, select OK, OK, and there we go. We now have our XY data displayed on our map. However, this isn't a permanent layer, so what we need to do is select data, export data, and we will give it a useful name. So Ontario schools, save, okay. And now we have our actual permanent data. We can remove our temporary layer and we can start to explore this data a little bit. So if we go to quantities, we now have the percentage. So remember, this was the percentage of school-age children who live in low-income households. So we can now map this out. And there you go. And that covers, in short, how we can go from getting data online into ArcGIS. Thank you for listening. See you next time.